Good morning, welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. Quite a lot of things to talk about this week, so I'll try not to go long, but we'll see how it goes. It's all starting to kind of get busy. We've got Ignite coming, we've got other conferences happening soon. We've just come off the back of a couple of other conferences, plenty of things happening as it starts to kind of get into that busy season again. So first thing to talk about, I actually managed to put together a video this week. It's been a little while since I've done like a proper how-to video. A couple of reasons for that, but we're back in the game now, so that's good. This was all about using a relatively new part of the Microsoft Graph API to create virtual appointments. This allows you to take an existing Teams meeting and give it a nice front end that allows customers that don't have the Teams client to join it without you needing to go and build like an Azure Communication Services instance or anything like that I've talked about previously, and you can absolutely do that as well. But this is like a nice easy way of kind of achieving some similar things. So the video's on YouTube, the blog post is here. It uses a call that's currently in public preview, so just be aware of that. And this is the kind of experience you get. It's not super customizable. I feel like, and I talked about this a little bit on the video, I think that customization is something that we may see come as it goes from preview to GA, or may come at a later time. We'll just have to wait and see. It's in the Teams Admin Center as well, so you can kind of track at a tenant level. You can see how many of these virtual appointments you're doing. And this blog post has a full transcript of the video as well. So you can go and watch the video, or you can just go and read the transcript if you want to scan it and then see if the video sounds interesting. But that is up on YouTube now, so you can go and see that. Other things happening this week as well. So QnA Maker. So I've talked about QnA Maker before. I'm a big fan of QnA Maker from when it first came out. I've used it lots. I feel like it's a very nice, nice is a terrible word, isn't it? Applicable use of powerful AI in a very simplistic way. It's very powerful in what it does, but it presents it very simply, and it's very easy to understand. And so for that reason, I like it. I like using it in talks. I like using it in code. I like using it as a solution because people get it and they understand it, and you're not bamboozling them with crazy AI and natural language processing and all the rest of it. Its premise is really nice. Take your existing FAQs in whatever form they're at, whether it's a web page or a PDF or whatever, throw it at the machine, and then you've got something that you can just ask questions at and it magically understands. So that is exactly what you want AI to do. But you don't have to get too detailed and too technical. Most of the time it just works out of the box without too much configuration, and then you can tweak it if you want to. Anyway, that's QnA Maker. QnA Maker, the name, the service, is going to be going away. The functionality and technology behind it is not going away. So that's the kind of big takeaway, really. It's like, yes, QnA Maker is going away. The tech isn't going away. Now, that's good. You can go and get the tech elsewhere. You can get it as part of Azure Cognitive Services. It's now called question answering. So you find it as part of the other language services that Azure has in their Cognitive Services bundle. It's just one of those. It's called question answering. Pretty much exactly the same kind of functionality there. So you've kind of got all that to use. But the most immediate problem really is that if you're used to using QnA Maker, or you've already got QnA Maker instances set up, you need to start thinking about that transition process. And if you were thinking about creating new ones, you are too late, because we are 2 days past the time where you could create new QnA Maker instances. So that was the 1st of October. So you can no longer create new QnA Maker instances, and you should be thinking about transitioning over the ones you've currently got, because although they're going to be supported until March 2025, so you've got a while, but you want to start thinking about moving them over. Moving them over is as straightforward as Microsoft could make it. I feel like there's a migration process. There's a threshold, like confidence map you can run first to make sure like how confident the system is that the migration is going to be all right. The whole migration process, and then this little diagram I think is quite helpful. It's just it's like a translation of the different parts of the stack and what they were called in QnA Maker and what they're called in question answering. Just they've got some slightly different names. Just gives you a feel, like for instance the SDK. So One of the nice things about QnA Maker, it had a good SDK. You could retrain programmatically. You could put things into the knowledge base and then retrain it automatically. And that was the QnA Maker SDK. And if you're transitioning over, so this is a project I'm going to have to do at some point, because I've got some QnA Maker instances and I use them programmatically with the SDK. So I'm going to need to move over. So what is it that I need to go and Google for, or Bing for? What is it I need to go and search for, to understand which SDK to use? Well, this diagram here will help me that. It's the question answering SDK. So things like that are quite helpful. Understanding the authoring portal, for instance, if you use that one in QnAMaker.ai, now you need to go and look out for something called Language Studio. Okay, so the other biggie is around pricing. And is QnA Maker, or is the new question answering service cheaper or more expensive than QnA Maker? The answer is it depends, of course. They have slightly different pricing models. They both have free tiers. But the newer question answering one is a bit more wrapped up in some of the other language services that Cognitive Services has, which you will only really notice if you're already using other parts of Azure Cognitive Services, because some of the included amounts are bundled with all the other services as well. So if you're already using them, then you might notice that, but if you're not, don't worry about it. And also QnA Maker really just had two tiers. It had the free tier, and then it had like an all-you-can-eat tier for a set price. That's not true for question answering. It's consumption based. So whether or not you're going to pay more or less really depends on how much processing you're going to do. You may pay quite a lot less. You may pay more. So it kind of really depends. I've tried to work out kind of whether or not, like where the cutoff point is, and I'm not sure I've totally got the maths right, but you can go and check them if you want. And if they're useful, you can use them. Just kind of based on like scaling out and seeing where the tipping point is, basically where it costs more than £10 a month to run question answering. So that's that. So things to do if you have QnA Maker in your stack or you are planning on using it. Let's talk about Microsoft Ignite because it's coming soon. And the session catalog is now out, which is exciting. There are already over 750 sessions. I would expect more sessions to be added over time. What was kind of interesting a few years ago, 2018, is that I took the Microsoft Ignite data about the sessions and I put it through Power BI to kind of visualize, because for me, thinking about Microsoft Ignite, 750 sessions just is a ridiculously large number. I can't really wrap my head around, what are all those sessions about? What's in them? What are they covering? Are they high level, low level? Are they, are they Azure? Are they Microsoft 365? Are they security? What are they? What's the makeup of these sessions? And I find that quite hard to find going through the session catalog, because the session catalog is at the detail of each session, right? I wanted something to zoom out a little bit and just be like, tell me about Ignite at a super high level. And so I ingested all the data into Power BI and got some visuals out of it. And I've done the same thing again this year. So there's all sorts of pie charts in here that are kind of interesting. So in-person versus online, because this year Ignite is a hybrid setup where some parts are online and some parts are not. And there's in-person sessions around the world as well, different cities. The locations of those, this big red one is Seattle. How long are the sessions? About 30 minutes is the takeaway. What sort of sessions? And then kind of what are they going to be about? There's almost fairly even going on split here around Azure, empowerment, protection, innovation, AI and automation, which is interesting. And then some products. There's a really long tail of products as well. And a little word cloud, because everyone loves a word cloud. So you can go and check through these. Oh, technical as well, which is interesting. These are 200 sessions here, the light blue. Dark blue is foundational 100 sessions. These are 300 sessions. This tiny slice of 400 sessions. I hope that gets bigger. Actually, it didn't in 2018. It was quite small in 2018 as well. These are all unleveled sessions. So that might change as people put their levels in, or they might just be RC Expert sessions. Although RC Expert should have levels on them, really. They should be kind of high level, but they often don't get leveled. Same with some of the, what are the other ones? Like tabletops, topics, and AMAs and stuff like that. They don't get leveled. So, all right. That's interesting. If you, we're going to go way too long. Never mind. I was trying to keep it under 10 minutes, but no, I've got 2 more things to think about, and we're at 10 minutes, so that's not happening. So you can go and check that blog post out if you want to see some of those stats. They might be interesting to you. And also Microsoft Ignite based. I did a video. Here it is. You can go and find it on YouTube. And it's all about how I choose sessions for Microsoft Ignite. Everyone has different ways of doing it, but the session catalog was out and mine was empty, so I thought I'd go through the process of how I look for sessions and what I find interesting going through the session catalog, and different ways of searching, different approaches, where I use the backpack versus the scheduler, and some other sort of tips I found as well for making sure you get your on-demand sessions before everyone else, and some other things like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, go and check out that video. It's on YouTube, and I'll put a link in the description of this video or a podcast episode, however you're consuming it. And yep. So, almost forgot actually talking about podcasts. Soliciting comments and feedback, please, on the audio quality. Hopefully it is okay. Hopefully it's slightly better than it was a couple of weeks, maybe a month ago. Hopefully it's good. Please let me know if that's not the case. Hopefully the levels are where they should be. But if you do want to tell me it's consistently too loud or too quiet compared to other podcasts you listen to, or it's all over the place and the music is crazy loud and the voice is crazy quiet, please tell me those things. I'm trying to make it not like that, but it's kind of a learning process. All right. Last thing to tell you about is it's going to be quite a quick one, because the information and the data about what I'm trying to tell you is very small. So there was a new What's New Microsoft Teams blog post covering both August and September, so like a bumper edition, presumably because the people that put them together were on holiday, just to tell you about things that had happened in August and September. There is a Power Platform and custom development section, but if you aren't going to get to read this month, or you just want a quick skim of what's new for the dev stuff, don't worry too much, because it's stuff we've already covered in previous updates. Apps in Teams for when you're doing voice over IP calls, and also when you're doing instant meetings, so like Meet Now things. We've talked about both of those kind of before in previous weekly updates. Just the ability to bring some of your apps into different places, such as one-to-one calls and doing sort of Meet Now scenarios. So that's the only stuff that's new for Power Platform and custom development, which is kind of interesting because it means it's been pretty slow for custom development and Power Apps. There are quite a lot of other things being talked about for Microsoft Teams as a whole. It's a big old blog post covering lots of other sections. So there are more features in Microsoft Teams, just nothing very much in the sort of Power Platform and custom development sections. All right, I think that's everything from me. Nice roundup. Next week is going to be, so this week is going to be kind of fairly normal. Next week is going to be UC Expo and South Coast Summit, both happening, I think, next week. So going to be there for those, going to be doing videos for both of those, so look out for those. Kind of excited to try a new video setup this year. Got some new kits, that's exciting. So I'll probably post about it on Twitter, I imagine, when it arrives. It should be here tomorrow, hopefully, fingers crossed, if deliveries happen okay. So that should be good. That should give you decent audio. I already had enough stuff to give you decent audio quality, but good video quality as well, and just a bit more freedom and flexibility to try different things, because it's fun. All right, everything from me, I think, for this week. Have a great week, whatever it is you're doing, and I will talk to you again next time.